All right, Ben. We are live. Are you ready to get absolutely nuts?
Absolutely nuts. Okay, let's go.
Okay. On today's episode of Playing Small is Canceled, we have a very exclusive treat. He's a best-selling author, keynote speaker, biohacker, researcher, and powerhouse in the health and wellness world, and a beacon of hope for millions seeking metabolic freedom. No big deal. He's the founder of Keto Camp, a global brand igniting awareness of ancient healing strategies, and he's on a big mission to help over 1 million people naturally reverse diabetes. Big facts. He's transformed his own life, shedding over 80 pounds, and now he's dedicated to helping a billion people live healthier lifestyles, which I deeply admire. Known as the health detective, he investigates dysfunction and educates, not medicates, to transform the body back to peak performance. And he's just a juggernaut in all facets of life and a terrific human being. Please welcome the passionate, handsome, empowering, and trailblazing, the brilliant Ben Azadi. How you doing, Ben?
That's all. What an intro. I'm doing fantastic. I got to say, I love the name Playing Small is Canceled. Yes, I'm all about that, Craig. I love your work and I'm excited to be here, bro.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. It's not the first time we collaborated. A lot of synergy here. It's always
Yep.
magical. We get together. I'm super pumped. Just curious off the cuff, what does that name mean to you? Playing Small is Canceled.
That means you're living up to your potential, which is infinite. Our potential. We're never even going to even tap into our potential, right? And so many people, I think 97% of people play small. There's an old adage that, or a thought that it's sad when we hear about a child that's afraid of the dark, but I think what's more sad is an adult that's afraid of the light and their potential. So to me,
Oof.
playing small is being afraid of the light, your potential, your gift, your uniqueness, your purpose. And a lot of people don't have their purpose, and if they do know what their purpose is, they're not aligned with their purpose, and that is playing small. And that's not the way God built the human body. God built us in his own image and likeness to thrive and do what we love to do. And I think a lot of people are not doing that, unfortunately, but you're doing great work to waken people up to the fact that they have this potential and to align with that potential.
Yeah. First of all, we could drop the mic right there, but we're just getting warmed up. Thank you for that. And I love the way you articulated that. And before we did our TED Talk about a year ago, I saw very alarming data, which basically just says what you described, which is that only 20% of Americans find purpose in the work that they're doing. So that means 80% are not. And that's pretty relatable to me because before I reinvented myself and I was on Wall Street for 13 years, although I was having quote unquote success, I knew that there was something more for me. You have a bit of a reinvention yourself. Now everybody knows you for the unbelievable work that you're doing now. But back in 2008, correct me if I'm wrong, that's when you really began to transform your health. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. In 2008, I was 24 years old and I was playing small. I had goals the size of a pregnant ant, very, very small. And I, was not living on purpose with my purpose. I was obese physically, obese mentally, dealing with prediabetes, high blood pressure, metabolic syndrome, uh, depression, even to the extent where it got worse than that. I won't share the word because we might get canceled on live stream here, but it extended even worse beyond depression, if you get my drift. And I was just tired all the time. And I think I was tired because I was uninspired. I didn't have any goals. And I think a lot of people are tired because they're uninspired. And I took ownership. I hit rock bottom. And then I know we had spoken about this before on IG Live. I started to read books from Dr. Wayne Dyer and Bob Proctor and Tony Robbins, and it really helped me take ownership and responsibility. And I completely transformed my health, both physically and mentally. 9 months, 80 pounds of fat. I got physically fit. And that's what got me started in this journey in the health space 17 years ago. And now I do not play small, as you mentioned, with the goals that we have, reversing diabetes and obesity in 1 million people, reaching 1 billion people. These are big goals. And that is how I live my life now. But for 20 plus years, I was playing very small and I was very unhealthy and unhappy as a result.
That's one of the greatest nuggets I've ever heard. You're not tired, you're just uninspired. Ain't that the truth?
Truth,
Right?
bro.
Because when I used to come home from Wall Street, I wasn't just tired, I was depleted. My soul was depleted because I was thinking, now I got to go do this again tomorrow. And of course, I know there were a lot worse things going on. I'm very grateful, have my own company and so forth. But now I know you can relate to this. After the end of a very long day, pouring your soul at helping people, etc., you're tired, but you can't wait to wake up again and do it tomorrow. Big difference between being tired and being depleted. And I love the way that you just described it. You're probably not that tired. You're just uninspired.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I'm on the grind right now with the new book and promoting it. You know all about that.
Oh, yes. It's like a
So it's like,
full-time job.
yeah, exactly. It's like back to back to back, and it's awesome. It's a blessing. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, it takes a lot out of you. But I'm lying down in bed and I'm like, I can't wait to start this again tomorrow morning, right? It's like there's an energy that comes to you when you get excited about these things.
Yeah. Tell us about the new book. Why that and why now?
Yeah, well, the new book, Metabolic Freedom, I just got the galley copy, is a 30-day plan to restore the metabolism, heal hormones, and burn fat. Why the book? Why did I write the book? Well, in the United States, 93% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy, according to a 2022 study. And that's a high percentage. That is close to astronomical numbers. Harvard is saying that by 2030, Craig, about 50% of the population in the US will be obese, not just overweight, but obese. We got a big problem. People are dealing with a lot of symptoms: obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, and that leads to, of course, cancer, heart disease, and even more serious conditions. So we have a big problem. But the amazing thing is that we also have the solution. So the book outlines the causes of metabolic disease. The first half is all about those main causes. The second half is about the solutions, and then it's wrapped together with a 30-day plan to achieve metabolic freedom. When you're metabolically free, you have amazing energy levels that last throughout the entire day. You wake up feeling rested. You don't have to snack or drink coffee throughout the entire day just to get a short burst of energy. You're able to travel, be with your family, have your true personality shine, have conversations like this, and be your true authentic self and feel energized as a result. That is metabolic freedom. And unfortunately, most people are in a metabolic prison. They don't experience that. They're dealing with symptoms and they want to feel better, and they go down the route of speaking to their conventional doctor. But the doctor's not discussing, in general, they're not discussing lifestyle changes for many of these lifestyle conditions. They're discussing a medication to mask a symptom, but the symptoms are not the problem. I make the case in the book. The symptoms are the body's check engine light. It's the body's way of communicating to you to show you that there's something causing this. We don't want to mask the symptom. We want to identify what those causes are. And that's what the book teaches you how to find and identify.
I love what you just shared, brother. And this book is not niche. It's for anybody, especially based upon the data that you just shared. And I love the analogy with the symptoms, because even like in life, right? Or like if you think about a car, you're driving, the check engine light comes on. It's not the dashboard that's having trouble. You don't have to fix a bulb there.
Yes.
That's indicating that something else is happening, probably at the soul level. But with what you just described, it's typically the symptom is the effect of something else that's the cause. And that's what a lot of doctors don't really take the time and energy to help you out with, right?
100%. You nailed it. Exactly. They are not asking the question, what did you eat last night? They're asking the question or thinking, what can I prescribe for that symptom? But it's really the symptoms are usually far removed from the actual cause. When you remove the cause, the interference, the body heals itself. God built the body to be self-healing. We just have to remove the interference. So you mentioned the book's it's not a niche book. I have niche books, keto books, fasting books, and that's great. This is for the masses. This is written for the average person to understand how to eat better, how to burn fat, how to feel good without counting calories, without depriving yourself of feeling restricted. It's written for the United States, the 93% of people that are metabolically unhealthy.
Yeah. And also for people that are in good shape and are like alphas and doing their thing, there's always another gear or another level. Even if you're not necessarily struggling, by learning what you're sharing and what you're teaching, people that are already high performers can take it to another level, right?
100%. Yeah. So in the plan there, to your point, there's a 30-day plan at the end of the book. There's a beginner plan and there's an advanced plan. So if you're already in good shape and healthy, you do the advanced plan. You implement something like ketosis. There's a whole chapter on keto, using it for more energy and lowering inflammation, extending your lifespan. Great tool for high performers. There's another chapter on fasting and doing it the right way and what that does for energy and to get rid of bad cells in your body. So yes, and you learn about the metabolism. You know what's interesting, Craig? I hear so many people when they talk about the metabolism, they you probably have heard this before. I'm 40, so of course, I'm gaining weight because my metabolism keeps slowing down, or I'm 50 and my metabolism keeps slowing down. But what I have found through the research, and I put the research in the book, our metabolisms do not even change at any significant rate until we reach age 60. And the studies show once we reach age 60, there's about a 0.7% decline every year after age 60. But here's why that happens: the loss of muscle mass. So if you preserve and build lean muscle mass by age 60, you won't have that decline. You could be 85 years old with the same metabolism of somebody that when you were 25 years old. And that's super exciting. So you want to build and lean muscle mass. Craig, you work out a lot. You definitely have a lot of lean muscle mass. So that is the key. It's one of the keys to keeping your metabolism revving throughout your entire lifetime.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That makes perfect sense. So I'm just curious for you. I don't know exactly how old you are, but I could do some of the math of what you shared earlier. We're probably about the same age. You're probably maybe a couple of years older than me. I'm approaching a pretty big number this year, 40.
Yeah.
But based on what you just said, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. Is there anything that you've done a little bit differently over the last few years as you got a little bit older? Obviously, very young in the grand scheme of things, but is there anything different that you felt like you needed to put more of an emphasis on?
Yeah, I just turned 40 a few months ago. So you're right behind me, bro. When's your birthday?
April 27th, baby.
Oh, it's coming right around the corner, brother.
Yeah.
Let's go. Level 40. Yeah, it's fun.
I hear it's the best decade. 40s, 50s, and 60s are the best. All the wisdom I hear.
Exactly, man. It just keeps getting better. I agree.
Oof.
For me, I would say prioritizing like sleep. I know for high performers, that's like, wait, what? I want to grind. I don't want to sleep, but you could grind, but you got to prioritize sleep as well. Sleep is where your body does a lot of repairing. And as long as you got that sleep part like honed in, and it's not really about the quantity of sleep, it's about the quality. You could get an extraordinary amount of quality sleep in like 6 hours, right? Doing some things to kind of fine tune. So a cold bedroom, dark bedroom, sleep mask, mouth taping. There's so many different things you can do. I have like what's called a chilling mattress, which cools the mattress, which helps you get more deep sleep. So sleep is what I've been able to do. And I track my sleep with my Oura ring, and I look at how much deep sleep and REM sleep. And as long as I got that dialed in, everything else improves for me.
I love it. I have the Oura too. It's funny because it makes sense. Like as we get a little bit older, maybe your body takes a little bit longer to respond or recover. So I've been also putting more of an emphasis on recovery, specifically sleep. And what I noticed for me, I'll just be vulnerable. Like I sleep very well because I have a lot of peace in my life now. I used to not, and I love what I do. I sleep next to my beautiful wife. But like, for example, last night I only got a little over 6 hours, and it was a great sleep. Like I basically went to bed, woke up the next morning, it was perfect. But I was still, when I woke up, all right, let's go. But once in a while, if I'm able to somehow get like 7.5, 8 hours, there's no high like it, not coffee, nothing. It's just a different type of energy. Yeah. It's no excuses. It's hard for me to be able to get that much sleep, but I do notice a difference when I do. I don't even know, this is not necessarily a question, but I just wanted to share that with you and see if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, no, exactly. My personal experience, when I go to bed by 10, wake up at 6, 8 hours in bed, right? I feel that's that's perfect for me, right? And that's totally doable. I mean, you have the rest of the day, you have 16 hours to like crush the day. And if you're doing the right things and delegating and doing all the things with your business and just staying in your lane of zone of genius, that's enough time to have family life and merge everything together. So yeah, for me, like 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. is a perfect window in terms of sleep quality and quantity.
Yeah. And you do notice the difference when you're able to get that full 8?
Yeah, I do. The extra hour or so makes a big difference.
Yeah, I love it. Beautiful. I wanted to ask you, what is vitamin G?
Vitamin G. Look, if you're not taking vitamin G, you're missing out. I have in chapter 10 of the book, I have a whole section on the science of vitamin G. Vitamin G is anti-inflammatory. It buffers oxidative stress, which is the number one reason why we age. It lowers blood pressure, lowers blood sugar levels, helps you burn fat. And there's a ton of studies on vitamin G showing it extends lifespan. There was a study by JAMA with 49,000 people, and it showed in the study, those who took vitamin G had a 9% less chance of dying by all-cause mortality versus those who didn't take vitamin G, and a 15% less chance of dying from heart disease, the number one killer, versus those who didn't take vitamin G. Dr. Joe Dispenza has done vitamin G scan or workshops with individuals taking vitamin G and did blood work on them, and he noticed cortisol, the stress hormone, drops, your immune system increases, so it prevents you from getting sick often. So vitamin G, I don't have an affiliate link or a coupon code. You might be on Amazon looking for it. It's the practice of gratitude. It's the feeling of gratitude, not necessarily the practice actually, but the feeling of gratitude. Gratitude, and those are all studies on gratitude. It's legit. Gratitude is not an intellectual practice, and that's tough for the left brainers out there. It's an emotional practice. It's a feeling. And the more you practice vitamin G and get that vitamin G, all of those benefits just come to you in a second. There's no toxicity limit. It's free. The best time to take it is in the morning when you wake up, right before bed, but you could take it all day long. And as soon as you take it, you get an immediate benefit from vitamin G.
Beautiful. Love it. I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
For all the listeners and everyone to catch replay, test it out.
Test it out. Get it tonight.
Send us a message. Let us know how the world responds to that. I'd be curious to know.
I love it.
Fasting. What does that look like for you? Is that a part of your repertoire? How often do you do it, if so?
Fasting. I love fasting. When I started to get into it in 2014, it was kind of taboo. It was considered like an eating disorder, or you're starving yourself. Now there's science showing like it's actually amazing for you. It's really interesting that you asked this question, because just in the last week, I could tell you something. I posted an Instagram reel on what happens in your body when you don't eat food for 100 hours. So that's like a little over that's like 4 days. And that reel in the last 5 days has almost 5 million views on it on Instagram, and over 3 million views on the Facebook. And then I turned it into a long form video on YouTube, which has 1.2 million in a week, which is crazy. People just love this topic, and for a good reason, because when you're in a fasted state, so many incredible things happen in your body. And if you're a high performer, you got to use fasting. When I'm in a fasted state, I am focused. I am energized. My brain is just flowing. It's this euphoric experience. Whenever I speak on stage, I'm fasted. When I have a heavy workload in terms of like the mental bandwidth, I'm fasted. Because here's what happens. When you're not eating food and you're fasting, your body is hardwired for the old school. All 70 trillion cells are hardwired for the old school, meaning the way that our ancestors lived for a very long time. When we don't have food coming in, your innate intelligence, this inner physician within your body that God built, starts to think, whoa, we must be going through a famine. It doesn't understand that you could go to your fridge or click on your phone and hit Uber Eats. It doesn't get that. So it automatically upregulates all these amazing processes. So one of those processes is a process called autophagy. Autophagy is incredible. This is a process where your body starts to seek out cells that are inflamed, mitochondria, these little batteries within your cells that are also inflamed, and it starts to fix it up. The analogy that I give is this: a refrigerator. If we open up our refrigerator, we have all these groceries. Every grocery has an expiration date. What would happen if we let all the groceries expire beyond that expiration date, but instead of throwing those groceries in the trash can, we kind of just shove those groceries, the expired groceries, towards the back of the fridge, open up the shelf and shove them in the shelves, buy new groceries, put them in front of the expired groceries, and come back the next day and open up that fridge. What's going to happen? It's going to be a toxic environment. Disease will manifest in that environment. Well, the human body, Craig, is like that refrigerator. We have cells and proteins and mitochondria that all have an expiration date. Autophagy is that process of cleaning out the junk. And when you're fasting around 16, 17 hour mark of a fast, you start to increase this autophagy process. It's like Pac-Man going within your cells and cleaning out the junk. Now, you could also get autophagy through strength training and HIIT training, burst exercise. So combine that with fasting, and then combine that with feasting and eating high quality protein. Magical. Fasting is one of my favorite tools to harness that innate intelligence.
Beautiful. And you said a good place to start is to at least do 15 or 16 hours?
Well, if you're brand new, I would first, the way that I teach it in the book, I would first eat more of a low carb diet. So it doesn't have to be keto, but just you want to gradually lower your carbs, increase protein and fat. You want to get more what's called fat adapted. Then you start doing some fasting schedules. I would start with 12 hours, very simple. You might even be doing this already where you're done eating, let's say at 7 p.m., and then you don't eat until 7 a.m. That's a 12-hour fasting window. And then build it up to, every day hitting about 16 or 17 hours in a fast, and then about 6 to 7 hours in an eating window where you get all your calories and protein and food in that window.
Beautiful. A couple of years ago, I got really into it. I downloaded the app, and I got as high as 72 hours.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible. I remember for me, the hardest part was the first day. And then once you get over that, I got into this, what you described was the euphoria. It was
Yeah.
like a high I've never experienced before. It was just so clear. It was unbelievable. Wasn't even worried about food. I just wanted to keep going. It was really beautiful. So aside from the actual what's happening inside that benefits you, like you just beautifully described the refrigerator analogy, mentally, clarity, I mean, that's a whole nother level too. It's just good to have in your repertoire.
That's why every religion practices some form of fasting. It's a spiritual experience. And then there's science behind it. This is not just like theory. There's a process that's called brain-derived neurotropic factor (BDNF) that gets enhanced during a fast. BDNF is like brain fertilizer. It helps you become more creative, more energized. It's your body's way of giving you this because it thinks you need to survive to go find food, right? But you're using it to just crush your day, your relationships, a podcast interview, and you explained it exactly well. That's exactly what happened to you. Around 24 hours or so, there's a really huge increase in this BDNF where it feels like a spiritual, creative experience. It's really cool.
Do you fast totally? Do you have water, coffee? Like, what would you, for everyone that's listening, is like, oh, I want to do that. Can I at least have a drink? What would you suggest in regards to that?
For sure, water. You want to have water and electrolytes and minerals during your fast. That will get you the most healing if it's just water. Coffee can be okay. I'll have coffee in my fasting window most of the time. But if you're really dealing with some health issues and you want to get the most healing benefits from a fast, you don't want to have coffee. You don't want to have supplements. You just want to have water and some electrolytes. That's it. Because you're not, when you have coffee or supplements or even something like bone broth, it pushes your innate intelligence a certain direction. But when you just have water and electrolytes, the unflavored electrolytes, you allow the innate intelligence to just heal. So I do have coffee most of the time in my window, but if you're looking for deep healing, just water and electrolytes.
Beautiful. This is unbelievable, by the way. So
Yeah.
good. A couple more nuggets before we land the plane. This is so valuable. I think in the book you talk a lot about healing hormones. I know you talk about that often.
Yeah.
For someone listening right now, like what's something tangible? Maybe what could we do? How can we begin to heal our hormones?
Yeah. And I like seeing that boat behind you there. That's an awesome view. That's sick. Hormones, the hormones are really important. There's, especially for fat loss, it's not for fat loss. It's not really about calories in versus calories out. Calories matter, but hormones matter more. And hormones determine whether you are storing fat, burning fat, producing energy, lacking energy, living longer, living shorter. We have hundreds of hormones inside of the body. For cell inflammation, the hormones are balanced. We allow our hormones to do their job. That's where like ketosis comes in, fasting comes in, biohacks that are out there. Like I have cold plunge in my backyard. I have a sauna. These are all other ways to lower inflammation. They're amazing. But hormones are the key. I'll give you one example of a hormone that we want to pay attention to. I wrote a whole chapter about it in chapter 2 in the book, and that's the hormone insulin. Insulin is a hormone that is known as the fat storage hormone. It's also what's called an energy sensor. And when insulin is elevated, it's kind of like a bully hormone. All of your other fat burning hormones and longevity hormones, they go into hiding. High levels of insulin, it's the first domino to fall that leads to weight gain, high blood pressure, prediabetes, diabetes, and then that leads to cancer, heart disease, autoimmune. So insulin is the key hormone we want to focus on. Carbohydrates will spike insulin more than any macronutrient. I'm not against carbs at all. I eat carbs myself. But for those 93% of people that are metabolically unhealthy, they need to restrict their carbs for a little bit, increase protein and fat, eliminate snacking in between meals. I say something all the time that's controversial, but I believe it. If you want to age faster than anyone you know, eat every 2 to 3 hours. Snack and graze. You will age fast. It's constant glucose and insulin spikes. Insulin is a growth factor. Guess what else could grow? The C word. I don't want to say it because we're streaming here, but you know what the C word is. That could grow with insulin at high levels. And it's going to be hard and impossible to lose weight if your insulin levels are high. So by eliminating snacking, increasing protein and fat, decreasing carbs, building muscle mass, the more muscle mass you have, the more insulin sensitive you are. This balances your hormones. It starts to balance all other hormones as well because you lower inflammation. So when we talk about hormones, I would focus on insulin. And I make the point that one of the most important tests you could get done by your doctor is a fasting insulin blood test. It's not a test your doctor's running on you, I guarantee, unless you go to a functional doc. It's missed. So it's an easy test. It's not covered by insurance, but it's super cheap to get. and it's called a fasting insulin test. You want to see your results in the single digits. That shows you're insulin sensitive. If it's over 10, you got some work to do.
Beautiful. And a lot of the things that you were just describing, maybe not exactly, but that's kind of similar to what it would feel like to practice keto, high fat, a little bit less carbs, stuff like that.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be keto. Keto's like very low carbohydrates where it's under 50 grams per day. But even if you dropped your carbs to 100 to 150 grams per day, that's still considered low carb, just not keto. That will work. But yeah, keto is phenomenal for dramatically lowering insulin, lowering inflammation. Fasting is also great for doing that as well.
Beautiful. Diabetes, big topic, especially one that you like to teach on and help people with so much. What is something that we can do to maybe prevent diabetes, and for those that have it, maybe begin to start the reversal process?
I love that you asked that question. This is so important. It's near and dear to my heart because I lost my dad to the complications of diabetes in 2014. He had a stroke from it, and 9 months after he passed. And in the United States, we spend $4.6 trillion every year on healthcare. Greg, $4.6 trillion. That would be the fourth largest GDP in the world.
Crazy.
And get this, one out of every $4 spent on healthcare is on diabetes, primarily type 2 diabetes. And type 2 diabetes is completely 100% preventable and completely 100% reversible. But if you're going to a conventional doctor and you have diabetes, they will not tell you that. They will talk about managing your diabetes. That's what happened to my dad, not reversing it. It can be reversed. But you said prevent. Insulin is the best way to measure that, because studies are showing that you could have high levels of insulin for 6 to 14 years without your blood sugars changing. So you have no idea that you're developing diabetes because you're not looking at insulin. So if you look at insulin, if you keep that in the single digits, you will never get diabetes. Simply put, never. You will never get diabetes if your insulin is in the single digits. That is the way to do it. And if your doctor is not open to running that lab, well, your doctor works for you. You could fire them. There are some companies that actually ship out a kit that you could finger prick and test your fasting insulin. But I encourage everybody watching and listening to please get a fasting insulin done. Keep it in the single digits and you'll never get diabetes. And one more point here. It's very rare to die from diabetes, type 2. It almost never happens. Didn't even happen to my dad. It's what the diabetes leads to. It's the heart disease, the strokes. That's what happened to my dad. The kidney failures, the infections, the amputations. It's what diabetes leads to. You dramatically increase your risk of dying from all other diseases when you're diagnosed with diabetes. But if you could be proactive here, what Einstein used to say, intellectuals solve problems, geniuses prevent them. If you could be a genius here and get a fasting insulin, you're going to be proactive and not reactive, which is so much better.
Beautiful. This is amazing, brother. Thank you so much for all this. Is there something, and we're going to wrap up, we're going to do a little rapid fire, have a little fun. Is there something that I didn't ask you today that you feel called to just share that you think will be very helpful for people that you might be very passionate about?
Yeah. Great question. Chapter 10 of my book. You haven't read the book because it's not out yet, so I don't blame you for not knowing this. Chapter 10 of my book is all about how your thoughts influence your metabolism, health, and longevity. It's my favorite chapter in the book. I will probably write an entire book based off of chapter 10. But if you have toxic thoughts, Zig Ziglar used to call them stinking thinking thoughts. I say if your thinking is stinking, your dreams are shrinking. If your thoughts are toxic, you will not heal your body. And your environment determines your thoughts. Right? That's why it's so important to surround yourself with people that are supporting your goals and positive, because it'll feed into healthier thoughts. And when you start to change those thoughts, you automatically start to change your health in a second. We have 60,000 thoughts a day, and those thoughts are communicating with your DNA. So if it has the power to do that, which it does, that means you have 60,000 opportunities to put your body in a healing state every single day. That's the greatest health tip you could ever learn. So when you get the book, read chapter 10 or listen to chapter 10. It's available on Audible as well. I narrated the Audible. And you could get the book over at metabolicfreedombook.com. We have a free course we're giving away if you order it there on the metabolism, 12 lessons that I built out with exclusive interviews in that course with Gary Brecka, Dr. Jason Fung, Megan Ramos, Cynthia Thurlow, and who else is missing? Somebody else is missing there. But amazing leaders are in that course, and it's all for free if you go to metabolicfreedombook.com.
Beautiful, brother. I love it. Is that where you want everybody to grab the book?
Yeah. When you order it there, either pre-order it, or if you're watching or listening to this after the fact, you could still order it there. There's different links to order it on either Kindle, hardcover, or Audible. You'll put your name, email, and order number, and then we'll automatically send you an email with the course and the exclusive interview. So yeah, metabolicfreedombook.com.
Beautiful. I love it. Awesome. Let's have a little fun, a little rapid fire, maybe 30 seconds, 1 or 2 word answers. Are you ready for me?
I'm ready, Craig.
Okay. Your favorite movie?
Oh man, favorite movie. I really love Dumb and Dumber. I could watch that movie, the first one, over and over and over. It's hilarious to me. So that's the first one that came to mind.
Jim Carrey in his prime, unbelievable.
Classic, bro. Classic.
Classic. This is a good one to ask you. Your last meal on earth would be?
Mexican food.
Nice.
Burritos, tacos. That's my favorite cuisine, Mexican food.
Beautiful. They have some good stuff out there too in Miami, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a melting pot here. Yes.
Okay. Favorite guilty pleasure?
Peanut butter.
So good.
Now I could go through a whole jar. It's not good for me to do that, but that's my favorite guilty pleasure.
Yeah. Also, real quickly, you just hit me. I love what you just shared before this. Basically, what you were saying is that negative thinking actually kills.
Yes. Shortens your lifespan. Yes.
Insane. Yeah. Okay. Your favorite book, or maybe one that's made a big impact on you?
Bob Proctor. Anything from Bob Proctor. His last one is probably the best one before he passed. Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life.
He's awesome.
Yeah. He's the GOAT.
Okay. Your spirit animal?
My spirit animal. Ooh, I haven't thought about this one. Spirit animal, man. I don't know, dude. What's yours? Maybe that might spark mine. What's yours?
I would have to go with a shark.
A shark. Yeah, that's very you. That's very you. Maybe an octopus, right? Like just everywhere you're involved, you're just like all over the place, omnipresent. So I'm going to say an octopus.
Beautiful. I love it. Okay. A superpower you'd want for a day?
The ability to speed read books and absorb 100% of the information.
That was good. I would love that too.
Yes.
Cool. 2 more. The most adventurous thing that you've done lately?
I'm not a very adventurous person. I'll say this. Maybe it was adventurous, but reading the Audible for my book was really challenging, and it took me out of my comfort zone. And they booked the whole studio for me, so it was kind of adventurous and a cool experience, and it was very difficult to do. So I'll say that
it was difficult. And
you did yours as well.
Yeah, isn't it surreal when you read your book out loud and wow, this is really good stuff.
Yeah.
But it's very challenging. I know they try to crunch it in. You have a certain amount of days to bang it out. It's actually a very challenging process.
Yeah, very. But that's why I have so much respect for you and other authors that actually narrate their own book. I have so much respect for them.
Yeah, same. Okay, last one. Favorite morning ritual essential?
Vitamin G. Got to practice my vitamin G. Dude, I have, and I save these because one day I'll show it on stage. I have like 40 notebooks. I don't have them here in front of me because they're in my bedroom, but 40 notebooks just filled with gratitude since I've been doing it every morning for the last 12 years, probably.
I love it, brother. You're such a shining light. Thank you, brother, genuinely, for stopping by today, dropping these priceless and juicy nuggets, and for the unbelievable work that you're doing in the world. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, bro. You're a rock star. You inspire me all the time. It's an honor to be on your show, Craig.
Thank you, brother. Hang out for 1 second.
Okay.